poisoned us, my cousin Zara screamed as the ambulance pulled away from our family BBQ in Willowbrook Park. I saw you put something in the potato salad. The whole family was staring at me in horror, my Aunt Delphine clutching her stomach, my Uncle Brayden pointing an accusing finger, my sister Indira backing away like I'd turned into some kind of monster. I just smiled and said, "You're absolutely right. I did." What they didn't know was that the poison I added wasn't what sent 3 family members to the hospital that day. The truth? I had been secretly protecting them for months, and they were about to find out exactly what happens when that protection disappears. Let me tell you something about family BBQs. They're supposed to be about love, laughter, and sharing good food together. But when you're the one who's been cooking, cleaning, and paying for everything while being treated like hired help, they become something entirely different. They become a performance where you're both the star and the invisible crew, expected to make magic happen while everyone else just shows up to enjoy the show. I'm Serafina, though everyone just calls me Sarah. I'm 32, and I've been living this nightmare for the past 5 years. It started innocently enough. I had just gotten my promotion to Senior Marketing Director at Nexus Digital in downtown Millhaven, and suddenly I was making more money than I knew what to do with. My family noticed. They always notice when someone's doing well, especially when they're not. The requests started small. Could I pick up the tab for dinner at Rosario's Italian Bistro? Could I help with cousin Zara's car payment this month? Could I maybe host the next family gathering since my apartment in Harborview Heights was so spacious and elegant? Of course I said yes. That's what family does, right? You help each other out. But here's the thing about being helpful. It's addictive to other people. Not to you, to them. They get used to it. They start expecting it. And before you know it, you're not just helping anymore. You're carrying the entire weight of everyone's problems, everyone's expenses, everyone's expectations on your shoulders. That's exactly what happened to me. It began with birthday parties. My nephew Kieran was turning 8, and my sister Indira was stressed about money. "Sarah, you're so good at this stuff," she said over coffee at the Daily Grind on Elmwood Avenue. "And Kieran just adores you. Would you mind handling the party this year?" She looked so defeated, so overwhelmed, trying to juggle her job at the Millhaven Public Library and single motherhood after her divorce from that deadbeat Marcus. So I planned Kieran's birthday party. I rented the community center, hired a magician, ordered a custom cake from Sweet Dreams Bakery, bought decorations, party favors, even a bouncy castle. The works. Cost me nearly $2,000. But seeing Kieran's face light up when he saw that Superman-themed Wonderland, worth every penny. The family was amazed. "Sarah, you're incredible. How do you do it all? You should be a professional party planner." That should have been my first red flag. Not the compliments, but what came after. Or rather, what didn't come after. No one offered to help clean up. No one insisted on splitting the cost, even though half the family was there enjoying the food and festivities. No one suggested maybe rotating who hosts these things. They just packed up their leftover cake, took their happy kids home, and started planning whose birthday was next. 3 weeks later, it was my cousin Zara's 25th. "Sarah," my Aunt Delphine called, "Zara's been so depressed about her birthday this year. You know how she gets. Could you work your magic again?" Work my magic? Like I was some kind of fairy godmother whose job it was to sprinkle happiness dust on everyone's special occasions. But I did it, because that's what I thought family meant. Zara wanted a wine tasting party, so I researched vineyards, contacted Bordeaux and Beyond Wine Bar, arranged private tastings, created elegant invitations, even hired a sommelier to make it educational and fun. Another $1,500. Another perfect event. Another round of, "Sarah, you're amazing. How do you do it all? You should be a professional party planner." That should have been my first red flag. Not the compliments, but what came after. Or rather, what didn't come after. No one offered to help clean up. No one insisted on splitting the cost, even though half the family was there enjoying the food and festivities. No one suggested maybe rotating who hosts these things. They just packed up their leftover cake, took their happy kids home, and started planning whose birthday was next. 3 weeks later, it was my cousin Zara's 25th. Sarah, my Aunt Delphine called. Zara's been so depressed about her birthday this year. You know how she gets. Could you work your magic again? Work my magic? Like I was some kind of fairy godmother whose job it was to sprinkle happiness dust on everyone's special occasions. But I did it, because that's what I thought family meant. Zara wanted a wine tasting party, so I researched vineyards, contacted Bordeaux and Beyond Wine Bar, arranged private tastings, created elegant invitations, even hired a sommelier to make it educational and fun. Another $1,500. Another perfect event. Another round of "Sarah, you're amazing," followed by everyone going home and leaving me with the cleanup and the bills. The pattern was set. Every birthday, every anniversary, every holiday, every random Tuesday when someone decided the family needed to get together and reconnect, somehow, magically, it all landed on my doorstep. Not just the planning and the paying, but the emotional labor too. I was the one remembering everyone's dietary restrictions, their food allergies, their personal dramas, and making sure feuding family members didn't sit next to each other. I was the one staying up until 2 a.m. the night before each event, making sure every detail was perfect. And the expenses? They kept growing. What started as a few $100s here and there turned into thousands. Catering from Milano's for Aunt Delphine's 50th. Renting out the entire back section of Greenleaf Gardens for Uncle Brayden's retirement party. Flying in Cousin Phoenix from Portland for Indira's graduation celebration. I was hemorrhaging money. But every time I saw their faces, every time I heard "thank you," I told myself it was worth it. The real problem wasn't even the money, though. It was the expectation. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being someone who chose to help and became someone who was expected to provide. Family events weren't collaborative efforts anymore. They were productions, and I was the sole producer, director, caterer, and financer. Everyone else just showed up as guests at their own family gatherings. I started noticing the little things, how conversations would stop when I walked into a room, then resume when I left. How nobody ever asked if I needed help, but they were always ready with suggestions about how I could do things better. Maybe next time we could have it catered by that new place, Ember and Oak. Do you think you could get one of those photo booth things like they had at the Hendersons' party? Could we maybe do it somewhere with a better view? Could we? Like they were part of the planning process, like they were contributors rather than just consumers. The breaking point came 6 months ago, but I didn't realize it at the time. It was my own birthday, my 32nd, and for once I decided I wasn't going to plan my own celebration. I dropped hints for weeks. I wonder what I should do for my birthday this year. It's funny how birthdays feel different when you're in your 30s. I can't believe it's almost August already. Nothing. Radio silence. 2 days before my birthday, Indira called. "Sarah, what are you thinking for your birthday? Should we do dinner somewhere?" She said it like it was my job to figure out my own party, like she was just checking in on my progress rather than offering to take charge for once. "I thought maybe someone else could plan something," I said carefully. "I've been doing a lot of events lately." "Oh," long pause. "Well, I'm pretty swamped with work and Kieran's summer activities. Maybe we could just do something simple? You know what we all like." You know what we all like. Translation, you figure it out and pay for it, and we'll show up if it's convenient. I ended up taking myself to dinner at Celestial, the fancy rooftop restaurant overlooking Millhaven Bay. Alone, with a book and a bottle of wine that cost more than most people spend on groceries in a week. It was perfect and peaceful and exactly what I wanted. But it also made me realize something I'd been avoiding for months. My family didn't see me as a person with needs and feelings. They saw me as a resource, a very convenient, very generous resource who made their lives easier and their celebrations more memorable. That's when I started paying attention to the other things, the casual comments about my fancy apartment and my successful career that sounded more like resentment than pride. The way conversations about money or struggles would pause when I entered the room, not out of consideration for my feelings, but because they knew I'd offer to help and they weren't ready to accept yet. The way they talked about me to others, not as Serafina, the marketing director who worked 60-hour weeks and had earned every success she'd achieved, but as our Sarah, the one with money, or lucky Sarah with her big promotion. I realized I had become a character in their stories rather than the author of my own. But here's where the story gets interesting, where the real poison comes in. You see, my family has something they've never told each other, a secret so big, so potentially destructive, that it could tear apart not just our holiday gatherings, but our entire family structure. And for the past 2 years, I've been the only one keeping that secret contained. It started with my uncle Brayden. He came to me about 18 months ago, looking panicked and desperate. We were cleaning up after Cousin Phoenix's housewarming party. Well, I was cleaning up while everyone else had gone home, when he pulled me aside. "Sarah," he said, "I need to tell you something, but I need you to promise you won't say anything to anyone else." I should have said no. I should have told him that family secrets are usually family problems, and I already had enough of those. But he looked so scared, so ashamed, that I couldn't turn away. "What is it, Uncle Brayden?" "I've been gambling," he said. "Not just casual betting, but real gambling. I owe some people money, serious money." The amount he told me made my stomach drop. 6 figures, more than most people make in 2 years. He'd been using credit cards, taking cash advances, even borrowing against his house. And the people he owed weren't exactly patient types. "I just need a few months to figure this out," he said. "But I can't have Delphine find out. It would kill her. She thinks I'm just having trouble finding work since the retirement. If she knew the truth." So I helped him. Not with money, even I didn't have that kind of cash lying around, but with management. I helped him negotiate payment plans, find resources for gambling addiction, even connected him with a financial advisor who specialized in debt recovery. I became his accountability partner, checking in every week, making sure he was sticking to his recovery program. But that wasn't the end of it. That was just the beginning. 3 months later, cousin Zara came to me with her own confession. She'd been stealing from her job at Patterson and Associates law firm. Nothing huge, $50 here, $100 there, but it had been going on for over a year, and she was terrified someone would notice. She was using the money to fund a lifestyle she couldn't afford, trying to keep up with her law school friends who came from money. Then it was Indira, my own sister, who'd been forging documents to claim benefits she wasn't entitled to. She needed the extra income to support Kieran, she said, and the system was so broken anyway, it wasn't really hurting anyone. Then Cousin Phoenix admitted he'd been selling prescription drugs, not street drugs, but leftover medications from his various injuries and surgeries. He made it sound almost noble, like he was helping people who couldn't afford their prescriptions, but we both knew it was illegal. One by one, they came to me, each with their shameful secret, their desperate situation, their plea for silence and understanding. And like an idiot, I kept their secrets. I became the family confessor, the keeper of everyone's darkness. I helped them navigate their problems, find solutions, avoid consequences. But here's what none of them realized. I was also protecting them from each other. Uncle Brayden didn't know about Zara's theft. Indira had no idea about Phoenix's drug dealing. Zara was clueless about Brayden's gambling debts and Indira's fraud. They each thought they were the only one with a secret, the only one who had disappointed the family. I was the only one who saw the whole picture, the only one who understood that our perfect family gatherings, our harmonious relationships, our ability to come together and celebrate life's milestones, all of it was built on lies I was helping to maintain. And the most twisted part? While I was protecting their secrets, managing their problems, and keeping their shame from destroying our family dynamics, they continued to treat me like their personal ATM and event coordinator. They had no idea that the sister and cousin and niece who was paying for their celebrations was also the one keeping their darkest secrets safe. That's when I started thinking about consequences, about what would happen if I just stopped keeping secrets, stopped managing their problems, stopped being the glue that held this dysfunctional family together. The idea terrified me at first, but as the months went on, as I continued to be taken for granted and treated like a service provider rather than a family member, the idea started to feel less like revenge and more like freedom. The final straw came 3 weeks ago. We were planning this family barbecue. Well, I was planning it while everyone else made suggestions, and I mentioned that I might keep it simple this year, maybe just burgers and hot dogs instead of the usual elaborate spread. "Oh no," Aunt Delphine said immediately. "You can't do that. We're bringing the Hendersons, remember? They're used to your amazing events. We can't disappoint them." The Hendersons, our new neighbors who the family was desperately trying to impress, people who had nothing to do with our family bonds or traditions, but who everyone wanted to wow with our perfect gatherings. Besides, Zara added, didn't you just get that big bonus from work? This is the perfect time to really go all out. My bonus, money I had earned through months of overtime and exceptional performance reviews, money I had planned to use for a vacation to the Seychelles that I'd been dreaming about for years. But in their minds, my success was their opportunity. That's when I made the decision. I would give them exactly what they deserved. Each other, without my protection, without my management, without my money. I would let them discover what their perfect family really looked like when someone wasn't working overtime to keep all the ugly truths buried. I planned the barbecue exactly as they requested. Elaborate, expensive, impressive. I ordered premium steaks from Hartwell's Butcher Shop, gourmet salads from Fresh and Green Carket, craft beer from Millhaven Brewing Company, even hired a professional grill master. I spent nearly $3,000 making sure it would be the most memorable family gathering we'd ever had. But I also made one small change to my usual routine. For the first time in 2 years, I decided I wasn't going to protect anyone from anything. No more secret keeping, no more problem solving, no more being the invisible force that kept our family functional. The poison I added to that barbecue wasn't arsenic or cyanide or anything that would actually hurt them. It was something much more dangerous. The truth. And that truth was about to make 3 of them very, very sick. I want you to understand something about the kind of person I used to be before all this started. I wasn't naive exactly, but I was optimistic in that dangerous way that successful people sometimes are. I believed that hard work paid off, that generosity was appreciated, and that family meant something deeper than shared DNA and holiday obligations. When I got the promotion to Senior Marketing Director at Nexus Digital, I felt like I had finally arrived, not just professionally, but personally. I was 30 years old, making 6 figures, living in a beautiful apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Millhaven Bay. I had worked 80-hour weeks for 3 years straight, sacrificed weekends and vacations, turned down dates and social invitations, all for this moment. The day I got the news, I called Indira first. She was at the library, helping some elderly gentleman figure out the computer catalog system, and I could hear the patience in her voice, even though I knew she'd had a long day. When I told her about the promotion, she actually squealed, something I hadn't heard her do since we were kids. "Sarah, oh my God, I'm so proud of you," she said, and I could hear her moving to a quieter part of the library. "This calls for celebration. We need to do something special." That was the moment, right there in that phone call, when I should have realized what was coming. She didn't say, "Let's celebrate," or "I want to take you out." She said, "We need to do something special," meaning I needed to organize something special that we could all enjoy together. But I was too happy to notice the difference. I was thinking about all the ways my success could improve not just my life, but my family's life too. Maybe I could help Indira get a better car. That old Honda Civic of hers had been making concerning noises for months. Maybe I could contribute to Kieran's college fund, give him opportunities I'd had to create for myself. Maybe I could take the whole family on a real vacation, somewhere beautiful and relaxing, where we could make the kind of memories that last forever. I was thinking like someone who had just won the lottery and wanted to share the windfall with the people she loved most. What I didn't realize was that they were thinking the exact same thing. The family dinner to celebrate my promotion was held at Romano's, the upscale Italian place downtown with the brick oven pizzas and the wine list that required a small mortgage to navigate. I made reservations for 8 people, the core family group, and chose a private dining room so we could really celebrate without worrying about disturbing other guests. I arrived early, buzzing with excitement and wearing the new Armani dress I'd splurged on from Bellecourt Boutique. I wanted to look the part, successful, confident, worthy of the faith everyone had always said they had in the world. I ordered a bottle of Chianti Classico while I waited, the good stuff, the kind that cost more per glass than I used to spend on entire meals. Uncle Brayden arrived first, looking handsome in his navy blazer and giving me one of those warm hugs that made me feel like his favorite person in the world. "There's our success story," he said, holding me at arm's length and beaming with what looked like genuine pride. "I always knew you'd make it big." Then came Aunt Delphine, elegant as always in her vintage Chanel suit, kissing both my cheeks European style. "Darling, you look absolutely radiant. Success suits you." Cousin Zara bounced in wearing something sparkly from Nordstrom, immediately pulling out her phone to document the evening. "This is so exciting! Wait until I tell everyone at work about my brilliant cousin." Phoenix arrived with his usual laid-back charm, wearing dark jeans and a button-down that probably cost more than most people's car payments. He worked in tech consulting and always managed to look effortlessly expensive. "Congrats, cuz," he said, giving me a side hug that smelled like expensive cologne and confidence. Nexus Digital doesn't know how lucky they are. Finally, Indira arrived with Kieran, both of them dressed up for the occasion. Kieran, now 9 years old and all elbows and enthusiasm, ran straight to me for a hug. "Aunt Sarah, Mom says you got the best job ever and now we can celebrate." We can celebrate. Even a 9-year-old understood that my success was something that happened to all of us, not just to me. Dinner was perfect. The conversation flowed as smoothly as the wine, with everyone sharing stories about their own work, their dreams, their plans for the future. I talked about the new responsibilities that came with my position, the team I'd be managing, the major clients I'd be handling. They asked thoughtful questions and offered genuine congratulations. For 2 hours, I felt like the luckiest person in the world. This was what family was supposed to be. People who celebrated your victories as if they were their own, who made you feel valued and appreciated and loved. I picked up the check without hesitation, tipping generously and feeling like a queen as we all walked out into the warm Millhaven evening. That's when Uncle Brayden pulled me aside near the valet stand. "Sarah," he said, and something in his tone made me pay attention. "I hate to bring this up on your celebration night, but I wanted to ask you something." I should have known. I should have recognized the setup, the perfect dinner, the excessive praise, the careful timing. But I was still glowing from the evening, still riding high on professional success and family love. "What's up, Uncle Brayden?" "Well, Delphine's birthday is coming up next month, her 50th. And I was thinking, since you're doing so well now, maybe we could do something really special for her, something memorable." The way he said it, so casual and conversational, like he was making a suggestion rather than a request, like we were partners in this decision rather than him identifying me as the sole funding source. I was thinking maybe we could rent out that private room at Ocean View Country Club, the one with the terrace overlooking the bay. Make it really elegant. Delphine's been through a lot this year with her mother's health issues and everything. She deserves something beautiful. I said yes. Of course I said yes. How could I not? It was Aunt Delphine's 50th birthday, she had been dealing with family stress, and I had just gotten a promotion that put me in a position to make her feel special. It seemed not just reasonable, but obvious. That sounds wonderful, I said, already calculating costs in my head. The country club wasn't cheap, but it wasn't impossible either. I'll call them this week. You're amazing, Sarah, Brayden said, giving me another one of those warm hugs. This is why you're everyone's favorite. Everyone's favorite? The phrase should have made me happy, but something about it felt strange. Not the words themselves, but the context. I was everyone's favorite because I had agreed to pay for a birthday party I hadn't been asked to help plan, just asked to fund. As we said our goodbyes in the parking lot, I noticed something else. The thank yous for dinner were brief and casual, almost distracted. But the excitement about Delphine's party was immediate and intense. Suddenly, everyone had ideas and suggestions. Oh, we should definitely get catering from that new place, Sapphire and Sage. Could we maybe hire a jazz trio? Do you think they do custom floral arrangements? Could we, meaning could I? Should we, meaning should I? I drove home to my apartment in Harborview Heights feeling slightly unsettled, but unable to pinpoint why. The evening had been lovely, my family was proud of me, and I had the resources to make Aunt Delphine's milestone birthday truly special. This was what success was for, not just personal satisfaction, but the ability to bring joy to the people you cared about. I spent the next week planning Delphine's party with the same attention to detail I brought to my professional projects. I researched venues, compared catering menus, interviewed musicians, designed custom invitations. I wanted it to be perfect, not just because I loved my aunt, but because I wanted to prove something to myself and to them. I wanted to show that my success wasn't just about me, it was about all of us, about lifting up the people I cared about. The party was spectacular. 50 guests, ocean view terrace, 7-course meal, string quartet, custom cake that looked like a work of art. Delphine cried when she saw it all, telling me it was the most beautiful celebration she'd ever experienced. The whole family glowed with pride, not just at the party itself, but at what it represented, our ability to create magical moments together. I felt like I had found my purpose, not just as a marketing director, but as the person who could make dreams come true for the people I loved, the person who could turn ordinary occasions into extraordinary memories, the person who had finally achieved enough success to become truly generous. What I didn't realize was that I had just auditioned for a role I would never be allowed to quit, the role of family provider, family entertainer, family problem solver. I had shown them what I was capable of, and they would never again expect anything less. The requests started the very next week.